Naruto, Hyuga member Awakens godly Tenseigan, Episode 91. A small elite jonin, don't push too much. With a kick on the ground with his right foot, the powerful force made the ground sink. Hyuga Chen, like a streamer, came to the elite jonin in an instant and swung his sword. This elite jonin could perceive the danger coming. Although his combat experience told him that there was danger, his physical reaction could not keep up. He was cut in half by Hyuga Chen. In the face of extreme speed, even if you are an elite jonin who has been fighting for a long time and has extremely rich experience and can predict the crisis, what about jonin, who can perceive the danger, does not mean that you can avoid the past. The growth history of each elite jonin is a legend, but now his legend has been drawn to an end by Hyuga Chen. Oh. I haven't exerted any strength yet. You actually got cold, it's really sad. Hyuga Chen sighed. Now within 50 meters of Hyuga Chen, there are no ninjas, all of them are staring at Hyuga Chen in horror. 5 or 10 jonin were killed with a single stab, and then the elite jonin was slashed again. How do they beat them? If this were put into the game, Hyuga Chen would be an open god, and this kind of people would be too much to fight against god tiers who are capable of killing immortals and bully them. You can't expect a group of genin and chunin to fight someone who kills jonin like chopping vegetables and melons. This is simply unrealistic, therefore, such a scene appeared on the battlefield. Hyuga Chen stood still, and the surrounding ninjas stopped fighting, and tacitly retreated to the surroundings. Even Konoha's ninjas are no exception. The corpses of their beheaded companions haven't been cool yet. They don't want to be the next person to be killed by their teammates. Such a brutal teammate, they would rather not. Oh. Life is lonely as snow. Who can fight me? Who else? Hyuga Chen's voice spread across the battlefield. This son is so arrogant, and Ning will keep him. Seeing that he is only a teenager, he can easily kill jonin. If he grows up, he will be at least a Konoha White Tooth. Let's go together, depending on his age, just where he can go heaven-defying and heaven-defying. The 4 quasi-shadow level powerhouses discussed it and began to organize a group to give away their heads. The 4 quasi-shadows rushed towards Hyuga Chen, and when the quasi-shadow of Rain Shinobi Village rushed, their hands began to seal. Water style, Great Waterfall Technique. Lightning style, go. The quasi-photograph of Rock Shinobi Village uses lightning style to match water style. Wind style, Wind Blade. The quasi-sharp of Sand Shinobi Village uses wind style. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Earth style, Earth Dragon Bomb. Another quasi-shadow of Rock Shinobi Village uses the unearthed dragon bomb technique and spray mud bombs to attack Hyuga Chen. Faced with this situation, even a strong movie-level player will have a headache, but for Hyuga Chen, it is a trivial matter. Hyuga Chen flew to the sky in an instant, avoiding all attacks, making the 4 quasi-shadows below dumbfounded. You guys who can't even fly, what qualifications do you have to fight with me? Hyuga Chen said mockingly. Annoying, very annoying, that kind of superior tone, that sense of superiority, made them mad with anger. If you have the ability, come down and fight us, didn't you just be arrogant? If you have the ability, come down. Quasi-Kage of Sand Shinobi Village shouted angrily. Humph. You let me go down, I'll go down, then I'm very shameless. Hyuga Chen snorted softly. Coward, you come down to me. 4 people called an angry one. Hyuga Chen flew too high, they couldn't attack, they could only stare. You are like a barking dog. It's really annoying. Let you die under the Shurkai of Ryujin Jaka. This is also your honor. Hyuga Chen looked down at each other. Surroundings. All are ashes. Ryujin Jaka. Hyuga Chen faintly said the liberation language of Ryujin Jaka. The extreme fire and flame enveloped Ryujin Jaka. Hyuga Chen finally liberated Ryujin Jaka and used Shurkai of Ryujin Jaka. Looking at Hyuga Chen like the sun, the entire battlefield stopped fighting, watching Hyuga Chen sweating profusely, swallowing dryly. It is not scared, but too hot. Although Shurkai of Ryujin Jaka cannot be compared with Bankai Ranhwa Taidao, who can destroy the world if liberated, the temperature of the sun's surface is not a joke. The vegetation on the ground began to turn yellow and withered. At this time, Ryujin Jaka in Hyuga Chen's hands was the second sun. Chen, that sword. Tsunade looked up at Hyuga Chen. Is that sword a ninja? Orochimaru looked at the sky silently. Just take the 4 of you to sacrifice the sword. Ryujin Jaka Songming. Hyuga Chen said lightly. A tornado-shaped flame wall instantly wrapped them, and then under the rotating flame wall, the 4 quasi-shadows had no chance to struggle, and they turned into ashes. Silence, the atmosphere of the battlefield was silent. It was supposed to be filled with the sound of killing, the clash of swords, and the explosion of ninjutsu, all disappeared at this moment. 4.5-footed quasi-shadows had no chance of struggling, they were all gone. Don't talk about the enemy ninja, even Konoha's ninja can't accept it. Looking at the sluggish ninja below, Hyuga Chen, who wanted to celebrate in the hot hell, also suppressed it. Yen hot hell is a move that can easily destroy a city. If this is released, the entire battlefield will definitely be dead. Others, Hyuga Chen doesn't care. But Tsunade is still below, so Hyuga Chen can only suppress the excitement in his heart. Looking at Tsunade, with 953 sweat below, Hyuga Chen decisively relieved Shirkai of Ryujin Jaka. After completing Shirkai this time, Hyuga Chen also knows how to open Bankai, which is to continuously fit with Ryujin Jaka, and then naturally open Bankai. Hyuga Chen also understands why the system says he is Ryujin Jaka. Hyuga Chen is equivalent to the materialization of Zanpakuto. What Hyuga Chen has to do is to make Ryujin Jaka a part of him. The reason why he couldn't use Shirkai before was because he didn't fit well with Ryujin Jaka, and through real battles, he deepened his fit with Zanpakuto before he could use Shirkai. As the fit with Ryujin Jaka deepens in the future, Hyuga Chen can even merge with human swords and integrate Ryujin Jaka into his body. All the abilities of Ryujin Jaka can be used without a sword, and Ryujin Jaka can also appear in the form of a sword. At that time, Hyuga Chen himself was the sun. After putting away Ryujin Jaka in Hyuga Chen, the surrounding temperature dropped. Seeing the fire caused by his liberation of Ryujin Jaka, Hyuga Chen smiled helplessly. As the old Yamamoto said, the only drawback of Ryujin Jaka is that it is too powerful. Shirkai is already like this, let alone Bankai. Hyuga Chen decided to use Ryujin Jaka Shirkai as little as possible in the future. Otherwise he would become a fire maker and most importantly affect the people around him. Episode 92. This time Hyuga Chen not only completed Shirkai, but also because of Ryujin Jaka Shirkai, the quality of chakra has been improved and entered the early stage of Super Shadow. Zanpakuto's Shirkai can strengthen Ryatsu, but Hyuga Chen uses chakra energy to use Ryujin Jaka, so Shirkai will strengthen Hyuga Chen's chakra later. After Shirkai Ryujin Jaka, Hyuga Chen's chakra has been greatly improved both in quality and chakra purity, allowing Hyuga Chen to overcome the barriers of Shadow and Super Shadow. Originally, Hyuga Chen was still waiting to enter the Super Shadow level by practicing Sage Mode. Unexpectedly, Ryujin Jaka Shirkai's amplification ability would make Hyuga Chen enter the Super Shadow level. This was also a surprise. Hyuga Chen put his arms around his chest and looked at the stunned ninja below, with an extremely proud posture. Why don't you call me 666? Hyuga Chen is the most handsome, and Hyuga Chen is invincible. Before, I looked down on the heroes and destroyed the atmosphere as soon as I opened my mouth. This contrast makes them almost vomit blood. Puff. Tsunade didn't hold back, but smiled. Feel the despair. The king's treasure. Hyuga Chen whispered softly, and the dazzling golden light gleamed in the eyes of the ninjas, and countless kunai and shurikens spurted out. Who will let Hyuga Chen have no treasures? It can only be shoddy, replacing the treasure with ordinary kunai and shuriken. Under the dense kunai and the throwing of the shuriken, many ninjas were really killed, but most of them were genin, not even chunin. Hyuga Chen was speechless. Although he knew that the effect would not be very good, it was too wasteful and humiliated the reputation of the king's treasure. I hurriedly put it back. This thing is okay to pretend to be, don't think about other things. And the film class powerhouse who paid close attention to Hyuga Chen was relieved. Seeing that the momentum was supposed to be a big move, I didn't expect the thunder to be loud and the rain to be small. Oh. I don't want to bully you guys anymore. Is there a shadow level master who comes to me for 2 tricks? Otherwise I can only kill this group. Hyuga Chen gently fell to the ground. I'm going to deal with that kid, and you will deal with Orochimaru. Suchikid's assistant Xing gave up Orochimaru and rushed towards Hyuga Chen. Hyuga Chen must be restricted, otherwise the powerful Hyuga Chen can easily change the situation on the battlefield. Shirhung, you have to be careful, the other party should not be underestimated. Third Suchikid shouted. Before Hyuga Chen killed the 4 quasi-shadows with one move, he really shocked Ohiki. Although Ohiki could do it, he had to show off his housekeeping card. Don't worry, Suchikid, I will definitely take him. Although Hyuga Chen's displayed strength is shocking, but the issue of age is flawed, and it is natural to be underestimated. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Even though Hyuga Chen has shown unmatched strength, Shirhung still does not really take Hyuga Chen into his heart. Rock Quan technique, die for me, and bury our compatriots in Rock Shinobi Village. Shirhung roared, and the rock fist smashed towards Hyuga Chen. Armed color harden. Hyuga Chen's fist turned black, shining with metallic luster, and then greeted Shirhung with a punch, knocking Shirhung, who used the rock fist technique, several hundred meters away. Shirhung's fist wrapped in the rock had broken, and the hand that used the rock fist technique was shaking now. It's a powerful force. Looking at Hyuga Chen without any damage, Shirhung's original contempt converged. This punch allowed Shirhung to see the reality clearly. Although the opponent is indeed a kid, the strength of the opponent's heaven-defying can never be measured by age. Rasengan. In his hand, chakra continuously rotates and compresses, forming a high-density chakra ball, and then uses Marine 6-style shave, which instantly approaches Shirhung. Then Rasengan in his hand attacked the opponent's head. If it hits, it can definitely make the opponent return to the west. Facing Hyuga Chen's teleportation speed, Shurhang's pupils shrank, and then quickly avoided. However, under the double capture of Hyuga Chen's Tenseigan and observation haki, Hyuga Chen prejudged towards Shurhang's avoidance direction. Bump! Hyuga Chen's Rasengan smashed Shurhang's head, instantly smashing his head to pieces. However, Hyuga Chen did not show a smile. Instead, he turned to look behind him. Shurhang appeared there, and Shurhang, whose head was smashed by Hyuga Chen, had become mud. As expected of a shadow-level powerhouse, when it is almost impossible to avoid it, he actually used an unearthed substitute. Hyuga Chen said in admiration. This is Hyuga Chen's sincere admiration. The opponent's combat experience is indeed not comparable to him. This time, Hyuga Chen did not use all his strength, but deliberately suppressed the power to fight Shurhang, in order to improve the combat experience. Don't look at Hyuga Chen. Jonin is easy to watch before, but once he meets someone with the same strength, he may suffer a loss. Even if Hyuga Chen has Tenseigan and observation haki, he can perceive and observe enemy attacks, but it cannot change the problem of Hyuga Chen's lack of combat experience. If you change to Uchiha Madara, who is experienced in combat, Shurhang will be abolished if he is immortal just now, and Hyuga Chen, who has observation haki and 360 degrees Tenseigan, has let the opponent escape. This is simply a shame. After that, Hyuga Chen suppressed his power and fought with Shurhang. After you come and me, Hyuga Chen's combat experience rapidly increased. Hyuga Chen's comprehension and learning abilities are no joke. After all, Hyuga Chen is also the person who independently developed Super S-level illusion. If it weren't for Hyuga Chen's too much abilities and little pursuit of ninjutsu, he might have developed a lot of powerful ninjutsu. However, Hyuga Chen didn't have time to develop ninjutsu. Whether it was physique, swordsmanship, or devil fruit, Tenseigan, he needed to practice, and he did not have so much energy to develop ninjutsu. Hyuga Chen specialized in illusion at the beginning. It was to make up for the vacancy in illusion, and then worked hard to develop illusion. Half an hour after Chen's battle, at this time, Hyuga Chen used the same power as the opponent, and could already suppress the opponent. Unlike before, his scalp was numb. Of course, in the process of improving combat experience, it is also indispensable to pay tuition. Hyuga Chen has been hit several times before. However, Hyuga Chen's physical fitness is stronger than that of third Raikage. Even if he resists a few S-level ninjutsu, nothing will happen. So even though Shurhang hit Hyuga Chen several times, it just caused Hyuga Chen's clothes to be damaged and looked a little embarrassed. In fact, he didn't hurt Hyuga Chen at all. The physical fitness that has been exercised since childhood is not a joke, and physique is definitely what Hyuga Chen has done the most. In order to practice physical skills, Hyuga Chen didn't know how hard he worked, but now this is the result of his practice. So far, Hyuga Chen is still working hard to practice physique. He still thinks about using physique to beat the 6th level characters. Episode 93. Is your soft strength tickling me? I stand still and let you fight, and you can't help me. Hyuga Chen held kunai and easily blocked all the opponent's offensive. Hateful. Shurhang gritted his teeth with hatred, and now he can see that the other party is treating him as a grindstone. The current you are no longer useful to me. Do you know what I mean? Looking at the other party, Hyuga Chen sneered coldly. Shurhang's face was stunned and he looked at Hyuga Chen vigilantly. He knew that Hyuga Chen had released the water before, and his undamaged physical strength with A*level ninjutsu made him desperate. When Shurhang looked at Hyuga Chen vigilantly, he suddenly felt a pain in his jaw, and then flew into the sky like a rocket. And Hyuga Chen has appeared where the opponent originally stood, looking up at the sky, with an extremely indifferent expression. With his legs kicked on the ground, his body turned into an afterimage and disappeared on the ground. Hyuga Chen had appeared above Shurhang, and then he slashed off. Then his body shape disappeared again, appearing under Shurhang, who was knocked down by Hyuga Chen, and when the opponent hadn't landed, he kicked into the sky again. Next, Shurhang was forced to fly in the sky, unable to fall at all, and was kicked by Hyuga Chen. Except for the continuous spurting of blood, Shurhang couldn't even make a scream, like a rag doll, swaying in the sky. 733. Oyumu, who was watching the battle on this side, had his teeth broken, his eyes were red, and he looked at the sky like wild beasts. He couldn't see Hyuga Chen's figure, but could only see a golden light shuttle freely in the air, and Shurhang was like a lone boat in the sea experiencing violent storms. Oh Hinoji, don't lose your mind, don't look over there anymore. He can't live anymore. It's important to solve Sarutobi Hiruzen first. Hanzo of the Salamander helped the frustrated Onogi block Sarutobi Hiruzen's sneak attack, and then shouted. It was not that Hanzo of the Salamander wanted to curse Shurhang, but that this was absolutely dead, and there was no room for reversal. Even if Hanzo of the Salamander was beaten like this, he was absolutely dead. Even Hanzo of the Salamander suspected that Shurhang had been beaten to death now. Hanzo, you block Sarutobi Hiruzen, I'm going to save Xiang. Inoki's eyes were red. When he followed second Suchikage, without learning ninjutsu, Shurhang was still acting as the guard of second Suchikage. The relationship between the two was very good. It was impossible for Anoki to watch Shurheng die in front of him. Earth-style, light-heavy rock technique. Without waiting for Hanzo to reply, Oyemu used the light-heavy rock technique to lighten his weight and flew towards the sky. Hanzo of the salamander opened his mouth, but Anoki was already flying far away and could only fight Sarutobi Hiruzen alone. But Hanzo of the salamander was not afraid, and his demigod name was not for nothing. Summoning brought out the summoning beast Sancho fish, and fought fiercely with Sarutobi Hiruzen, and did not fall into a disadvantage because of Anoki's departure. Of course, it is impossible to suppress Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen uses 5 escape techniques back and forth, and each one is very skilled, and he is worthy of being a ninja professor. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. After Oyemu flew into the sky, he was dumbfounded. His flying speed was not at the same level as others. For example, Hyuga Chen is a jet plane, while Anoki is a stacked paper plane. The two are not comparable at all. Just when Oyemu was stunned, a sense of crisis appeared, and then he felt a pain in his waist, and then slammed it down like a bird with a broken wing. The sky is not where you stay, where you come and go. Hyuga Chen said faintly, then turned into a flash, and went to kick the ball again. With a touch, Ohiki slammed the Sancho fish, shaking the Sancho fish's body, and let out a whine. Hanzo looked at the old man distressedly, and then asked Anoki, "Why did you come back so soon?" Onamu's face flushed. He held his waist and did not speak, feeling as if his waist was broken. Hanzong was speechless, and he didn't save the man, but instead put himself in. Is there anything more tragic than this? Sarutobi Hiruzen, Anoki, and Yukinoha will never die. Anoki roared furiously. Sarutobi Hiruzen has a black line. It's Hyuga Chen that provokes you, so go find him. Boom. Hyuga Chen was also tired of playing. He kicked Shurheng, who was still left with a breath, and hit the ground, leaving a deep hole. When Oyemu saw it, he didn't care about the pain in his waist and galloped toward the place where Shurheng fell. By the time Oyemu arrived, Shurheng had died of breath, his eyes widened, and he looked like he couldn't squint. A generation of film-class powerhouses was just kicked to death. Looking at Shurheng, whose body is extremely distorted and not in human form, old Anoki burst into tears, and looked at Hyuga Chen not far away, with hatred and killing intent in his eyes. Hyuga Chen, Rock Shinobi Village, will never die with you. I will kill you and avenge Shurheng. Seeing Anoki choosing people and eating, Hyuga Chen curled his lips in disdain. Smelly boy, don't be too arrogant. Let you see the whole cards of Rock Shinobi Village outside. Dust escape, primary realm stripping technique. Oyemu yelled. A square barrier appeared next to Hyuga Chen, enveloping Hyuga Chen. Facing this powerful blood boundary that can decompose everything into constituents, Hyuga Chen didn't even lift his eyelids. Although Hyuga Chen used to be a scumbag, he also knew that photons were smaller than molecules, and he could turn into photons, and he was afraid of being broken down into molecules. Under the dust, Hyuga Chen used elementalization, which instantly turned into golden glitter. Ha 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 ha. Anoki laughed. What are you laughing at? Don't you think you killed me? The golden flashes regrouped, and Hyuga Chen said slightly mockingly. Faced with elementalization, Onogi was dumbfounded. How is it possible? No one can survive the dust. Anoki has doubts about life now. If the opponent dodges the dust, Ohiki can accept it, but he has no evasion to deal with, and he will face his dust. Anoki was still laughing at Hyuga Chen's stupidity before, but now he was slapped. His face was terribly painful. Onogi, let me help you recall your fear of being dominated by Uchiha Madara. Hyuga Chen smiled lightly. Susanoo. A Susanoo who was exactly the same as Susanoo of Uchiha Madara appeared on the battlefield. Susanoo, who was over 100 meters tall, appeared. The strong wind blew all the ninjas around and made the battlefield quiet again. This time they were more shocked than the last time. Ryujin Jaka's Shurkai was not weaker, but Ryujin Jaka's Shurkai was stronger than Susanoo. But Susanoo's size is too scary, and the deterrence is not comparable to Ryujin Jaka. Episode 94. Uchiha Madara? How is this possible? Anoki lay on the ground and looked at Susanoo dumbfounded. He had seen Susanoo of Uchiha Madara. That was his psychological shadow. Thinking of the shadow of childhood when he was young, Anoki shuddered. He hated Uchiha Madara, but feared Uchiha Madara even more. At this time, Hyuga Chen used Susanoo completely and frightened him. When Uchiha Madara used Susanoo in the first stage, he abused him and his teacher, and it also left an indelible shadow in Anoki's heart. Now facing the fully body Susanoo, Anoki is already very good to stand. Do you shiver? Don't even dare to fight. What qualifications do you have to become such a kage? Hyuga Chen looked down on Anoki, and said faintly. Hearing that, Anoki gritted his teeth and stood up, glaring at Hyuga Chen. I am indeed afraid, but for the sake of our Rock Shinobi Village, I will become fearless of anyone. Anoki's face was determined, and he overcame the fear in his heart. And there is only one Uchiha Madara, and you are not Uchiha Madara either. Yes, I am indeed not Uchiha Madara. Your will is indeed good. I hope you have the same strength as your will. Are you ready? I'm going to swing a sword. Pulling out the Puduyuhuan sword given by Tsunade, the tip of the sword pointed directly at Onoki. It's just that the wind pressure generated by this drawing of the sword caused a lot of damage. Puduyuhuan was wrapped in thunder, and the electric light shone on the entire battlefield. When he got the Puduyuhuan, Hyuga Chen could feel the resonance with Susanoo. After Hyuga Chen's groping, the Puduyuhuan was finally turned into Susanoo's weapon. Now Hyuga Chen's Susanoo is also the Susanoo with the artifact. However, the power of Puduyuhuan is thunder, which coincides with the power of thunder fruit. Facing Susanoo's giant sword, Onoki's pupils shrank suddenly, and his legs trembled slightly. Then he remembered the will of the stone taught by first Sechikage, and his heart became firm again. Third Sechikage, we're here to help you. Chita brought the people from Rock Shinobi Village and hurried over here. Retreat to me. Oh, Yemu scolded. Third Sechikage, if you still recognize this shadow of me, just retreat to me. Oh, Yemu shouted. He knew that facing the godlike Susanoo, the number of people would not be effective at all, and that no matter how many people came, they would just die. Unexpectedly, you still have a role as a shadow. Hyuga Chen admired. For those who are responsible, Hyuga Chen appreciates it. Dust escape boundary stripping technique. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. The huge enchantment shrouded Susanoo, which was much larger than the previous primal realm stripping technique. However, the consumption of chakra was also greater, and Onoki was panting. Facing the boundary stripping technique, Hyuga Chen did not choose to resist hard this time, otherwise he would be fine, and Susanoo would not be able to keep it. It would be funny if you just used Susanoo and then got second. At the moment when Onoki released the boundary stripping technique, Hyuga Chen's Susanoo instantly rose to the sky, avoiding the dust. Although Susanoo's legs were inevitably decomposed, this was a trivial matter. But this is also Hyuga Chen's support. If he uses the space ability, absolutely nothing. Originally, Hyuga Chen thought he could avoid Chindun perfectly, but now it seems that he still underestimated the other's Chindun release speed. Under Hyuga Chen's input of chakra, Susanoo's lost legs instantly recovered. Looking at the dust that is still continuously decomposing, Hyuga Chen can't help but admire that the power of the dust is indeed very strong. How many Hokage can break through the defense of Susanoo? Onoki looked at Susanoo flying in the sky panting, feeling desperate. He used all his abilities, and the other party had nothing to do with it. I don't bully you, I'll take a shot. If you can't stop it, don't blame me. If you want to blame yourself for being weak. The people of Konoha quickly get out, or don't blame me if you die. Susanoo Thunder Blade. After speaking, Hyuga Chen cut the sword, and the thunder surrounded the Puduyuhuan. Before the sword fell, the thunder fell first. The ninja below suddenly cried for his father and mother, and fled into the distance uncontrollably, only hating his father and mother for not giving more legs. Don't go back, block me. Use defensive ninjutsu to block. Third Kazekage shouted, while controlling the sand iron to build a defense to resist the upcoming attack. Don't retreat, those who can't escape, and those who don't want to die use defensive ninjutsu. Hanzo of the Salamander also yelled. How to escape this kind of attack can only be resisted forcibly. Konoha's ninja quickly retreat. Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled. He has seen the power of Susanoo. One sword can open mountains and cracks, and the strongest 9 tails will be hanged and beaten. Sachikage-sama, are you okay? Follow us quickly. Chi-Tu ran over to support Ohiki. At this time Ohiki couldn't stand firmly because of chakra exhaustion. I'm not going. If I go, doesn't it mean I'm afraid of Hyuga Chen? The old man Onogi was stubborn. Father, it's not the time to be stubborn. Please leave here first. You are the pillar of our village. You can't do anything. Regardless of whether Onoki disagrees, Lus will leave with Onoki on his back. Because the sword was about to fall, there was no time to say more. Boom! The sound shook the sky and the earth. The smoke and dust continued to fill. The thunder was shining, and the earth was constantly shaking, just like the destruction of the world. After a long time, all the smoke and dust dissipated, allowing people to see the tragedy clearly. There are thousands of people who died under this sword, and even more people were injured, and basically all of them were lost. And the trench that stretched for thousands of meters and reached a depth of hundreds of meters, like a trench, made everyone silent. No matter it was the enemy ninja who suffered this blow, or Konoha's ninja, they were all silent, and felt awe and fear for Hyuga Chen among Susanoo. Isn't Susanoo the power of the Uchiha family? Why does Hyuga Chen also have it? Can the Hyuga family also use Susanoo? Jiraiya asked puzzled. It's really a powerful force, this should be God technique. Although it's not the first time I saw it, it's still so shocking. Orochimaru looked at the standing Susanoo, a flash of greed flashed in his eyes. Susanoo's powerful strength makes Orochimaru extremely yearning. Sarutobi Hiruzen has an ugly face and a solemn expression. Although Hyuga Chen is from Konoha, this uncontrolled power is not liked by politicians like them. The stronger Hyuga Chen shows, it will only make Sarutobi Hiruzen more jealous. Being weak is the original sin, but sometimes too strong is also a sin. In the face of powerful forces, some people will accept worship, and some will hate fear. All of this depends on the human heart. Episode 95. Hyuga Chen lifted Susanoo, fell to the ground, and said faintly, "I say what I say, and I say a sword is a sword." After speaking, Hyuga Chen walked back to Konoha's camp. After Hyuga Chen walked over, the surrounding ninjas retreated quickly, looking at Hyuga Chen in awe. Hyuga Chen smiled indifferently, not caring about the eyes of people around him. Tsunade frowned as he watched this situation, then walked over and hugged Hyuga Chen's neck, and said, "You are in the limelight today. It may not be long before the entire ninja world will know your name and will be your name." "Teacher, I became famous too." Hyuga Chen shrugged, and then said, "It doesn't matter if you are famous, I don't care anyway." Hyuga Chen doesn't care about being unfamiliar, reputation is all cloud, and profit is important. He does not care about fame, only profit. "Mr. Chen, as far as I know, Susanoo is the ultimate power of the Uchiha family. As a member of the Hyuga family, you can actually use it. I wonder if it is convenient to talk about it." Orochimaru walked over and asked. After Orochimaru asked this question, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was not far away, also raised his ears. He was also very curious about Hyuga Chen's ability to use Susanoo. "This is my secret." Hyuga Chen shook his head and said without explaining, "His Susanoo was given by the system. How can he explain it? Isn't that nonsense? He doesn't have that leisurely making up stories. That's really a shame." Orochimaru said disappointedly. Seeing that Hyuga Chen didn't say anything, Orochimaru didn't ask any more, but he also had a speculation in his heart, which was definitely related to Hyuga Chen's eyes. "I have been paying attention to Sarutobi Hiruzen here, and I am also very disappointed, but now is a good time to beat the dog in the water." Sarutobi Hiruzen leads the Konoha shinobi to charge towards the enemy. Third Kazekage clutched his chest with an unusually ugly face. The ninjas in the three villages had lost their fighting spirit and still had scars on their bodies. Now they can't fight Konoha again. "Retreat for now," Hanzo of the Salamander said. "Anoki and Third Kazekage have no objections. The three-nation coalition forces are now in a low spirit, and retreat is the best choice. Set a trap to stop the Konoha shinobi, and then the whole army retreats." Third Kazekage shouted. Hearing the word retreat, the ninja of the three kingdoms of wind, soil, and rain finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then quickly set up traps and quickly retreated. Hyuga Chen's control of Susanoo's sword has already cut off their confidence, leaving an incomparably deep psychological shadow. Now when it comes to retreat, they are more active than anyone else. When the three of them saw this scene, their faces were ugly to death, but they were not qualified to accuse them, and even they had lingering fears, let alone these ordinary ninjas. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Ahem. Retreat first. Let's talk later. Third Kazekage said, clutching his chest, and he was injured very much by the sword just now. Anoki was not injured, but chakra ran out of it. It was the luckiest. The others were more or less injured. Seeing the Three Kingdoms ninja retreat, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't chase it anymore. It is not realistic to want to solve the opponent in one go. Don't chase the poor. The opponent didn't completely lose their combat effectiveness, but was just frightened. If they really bite them back, Konoha will suffer. With some people left to clean the battlefield, Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen took them back to Konoha camp. This time Konoha is able to win, thanks to Chen. From today, Chen, you will be our Konoha Jonin. Sarutobi Hiruzen showed a very reluctant smile on his face. Hyuga Chen nodded and said nothing. The atmosphere fell into embarrassment. At this time, Jiraiya hurriedly came out to make a relief. Chen, you are only 10 years old. You have skipped Chunin and become Jonin. I was a little genin when I was your age. I really envy you. I'm a little tired, so I will go back first. Hyuga Chen said lightly, and then left with Tsunade. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face sank as water, and then left without saying a word. Back to the earthen house made by Hyuga Chen, Konan is working hard to refine chakra, and Mikoto and Kushina are also practicing. Perceiving Hyuga Chen's return, Mikoto and Kushina stopped practicing, Konan stopped refining chakra, and ran over on short legs. Brother Chen, are you not injured? Konan asked concerned. It's okay, my brother is so powerful, how could he get hurt? Hyuga Chen knelt down and patted Konan's head. The battlefield should be fun, right? I saw your Susanoo from here. Kushina was very resentful of not being able to go to the battlefield. Mikoto just watched quietly without speaking. I really don't know why you like to be on the battlefield. Hyuga Chen complained. Could it be that the violent factor on Kushina was at work? After that, Mikoto went to prepare meals, and Konan also went to help Mikoto. Tsunade and Kushina were lying on the tatami. The two of them didn't go to the kitchen, or else they would have to jump around because of their cooking skills, so they didn't step into the kitchen with interest. What? More than 3,000 ninjas died. Anoki slapped the table and stood up, saying incredulously, yes. There were more than 2,000 ninjas who died in the hands of Hyuga Chen, and more were injured. At least 1,000 ninjas were seriously injured. The rest of the ninjas were all more or less injured. The reported ninja also had a complexion ugly. The atmosphere became more silent, and the expression on his face was not so pretty. After hesitating for a long time, Hanzo of the Salamander stood up. Irene Shinobi Village wants to withdraw from the alliance. Hanzo of the Salamander said firmly, what? We said yes before, do you have to keep your word? Third Kazekage looked at Hanzo of the Salamander with a grim look. It's not that I'm not keeping promises, but that we can't win at all now. A Hyuga Chen can stop us. Hanzo of the Salamander said lightly, even if you continue to fight, it will increase casualties by 5.6. We, Rain Shinobi Village, are not your Shinobi Village. We can't afford it. What Hanzo of the Salamander said is reasonable. Hyuga Chen only swung the sword once, and they suffered heavy casualties. If they come again several times, what will they do? Now they lack someone to restrict Hyuga Chen, otherwise even if the war starts, it will only be a gift. If we had a way to restrict Hyuga Chen, would you still quit? Onogi said surprisingly, what? It's impossible. Hanzo of the Salamander was shocked first, and then he didn't believe it. You don't have to fool me. I didn't see the strength of Hyuga Chen. Even if it is not as good as Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, it will not be worse. Hanzo of the Salamander thinks Onoki is fooling him, and he says so purely to keep him Rain Shinobi behind. Episode 96. I didn't lie to you. Onoki said confidently. Seeing Onoki's confident look, it didn't look like he was fooling himself. Hanzo of the Salamander couldn't help being curious. Who is it that can contain Hyuga Chen? Now that Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, the gods of the ninja world, are dead, I can't think of anyone who can contain the current Hyuga Chen. Then you are not bullshit. Hanzo of the Salamander said with a cold face, angrily, is this playing him like a monkey? Anamu frowned, and said displeased, what are you worried about? I said that no one can contain Hyuga Chen, but if it's not a human, it's not a person or something. You mean a tail beast? Hanzo of the Salamander suddenly came back to his senses. Yes, we have 4 tails and 5 tails in Rock Shinobi Village, and 1 tail in Sand Shinobi Village. 3-tailed beasts add up, can't it hold a Hyuga Chen? The big wildwood even-tailed beast is about to come out. It shows his determination. If this is the case, it's not impossible. Hanzo of the Salamander nodded 11. In fact, Hanzo of the Salamander was not reconciled to withdraw like this. The loss was so great that he didn't get any gains. How could Hanzo of the Salamander be reconciled? Don't know Feng Ying's opinion? Hanzo of the Salamander looked at Third Kazekage. Our Sand Shinobi Village will naturally send Jinchuriki. They have been preparing for so long, and I don't want to go back dingy. Third Kazekage, known as the strongest wind shadow in history, is naturally ambitious. He wants to defeat Konoha and make his name as the strongest Fenkage worthy of the name. Seeing Feng Ying agreed to send Jinchuriki, Hanzo of the Salamander also dispelled the idea of quitting. There are 3-tailed beasts, and it is not without a chance. Hanzo of the Salamander also wants to reap some benefits and make Rain Shinobi Village a Darren village. Onoki and the 3 discussed sending the tail beasts, but they didn't know that all of this was in Hyuga Chen's calculations. Hyuga Chen reveals Susanoo, just to put pressure on them to send Jinchuriki to the battlefield, otherwise Hyuga Chen will go to their village and collect them one by one. Although it is not impossible, it is too arrogant to do so, and it will attract the attention of others, such as Black Zetsu, such as the Sage of 6 Paths, who is not known whether it is dead or alive. Although Hyuga Chen is not afraid of the 2 of them, he doesn't want to attract their attention for the time being. He doesn't have an absolute advantage now. It's best not to waver and grow up first, so to be on the safe side, Hyuga Chen could only let them send the tail beast to the door. When the time comes, Hyuga Chen waits to receive the head. After the last battle, Konoha turned from defense to offense, but Onoki and the others avoided fighting. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. One is to recuperate and heal the injury, the other is to wait for support. This time, not only Jinchuriki, Rock Shinobi Village and Sand Shinobi Village were dispatched, but also 3,000 ninjas were dispatched to reinforce the battlefield together. Rain Shinobi Village also sent an additional 2,000 ninjas, which is bound to win against the Country of Fire. This time they really lost their money, and even Onoki also sent a letter to Onen Village and Cloud Shinobi Village, inviting them to attack Konoha. After 10 days of shrinking, Ohiki and their reinforcements arrived, making Ohiki and the others overjoyed. On the second day, Onoki and the others did not shrink back, uncharacteristically attacked Konoha Station. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned as he watched the increasing number of enemy troops. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen is not afraid. One is because Hyuga Chen is a big killer. Although Hyuga Chen is an unstable factor, they are also Konoha. The second is that Shimura Danzo has recovered, allowing them to increase Konoha's top combat power. Danzo stood beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. His right eye was covered with bandages. His face was gloomy and terrible. When he glanced at Hyuga Chen, hatred and fear flashed in only one eye. Hyuga Chen felt it too, but Hyuga Chen didn't care about it at all. He was just a jumping clown. Hyuga Chen didn't kill him because Hyuga Chen felt that if Danzo died, he might not be so exciting in the future. Although Danzo is a supporting role, he is very important. He can be called the strongest shit stick. Most of the tragedies in Naruto are caused by Danzo. Now Hyuga Chen is not in the mood to pay attention to Danzo. He is now staring at the three ninjas who are different from ordinary people on the opposite side, with a smile on his mouth. Everything developed according to his expectations. He knew that after he had used Susanoo, as long as the other party did not want to retreat, he would definitely send Jinchuriki. Now, as expected, the other party sent Jinchuriki. "You three, come with me." Hyuga Chen smiled at the corner of his mouth, and then walked away. Whether it is the alleged 4 tails Jinchuriki Laozi, 5 tails Jinchuriki Han, 1 tail Jinchuriki, or Anogi, 3rd Kazakage, Chio, Hanzo of the Salamander, etc., they all have frowned. However, Laozi and the 3 Jinchuriki still followed Hyuga Chen to leave, and they didn't want to fight here. Once they used the power of the tail beast, they could easily hurt themselves. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the 4 people who left, frowning tightly, but the opposite side did not give them a chance to think too much, and did not tentatively attack. Led by Inoki and other shadow-level masters, rushed towards Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen also hurried forward with others. Although Shirhung, a shadow-level powerhouse, was lost on the opposite side, Konoha had more shadow-level Danzo, but Konoha still fell into the wind. There are too many ninjas on the other side, and the number of ninjas who come from reinforcements is almost 3 times that of Konoha, and it is normal to fail to beat the other side. On the other side, coming to a place far away, Hyuga Chen stopped and looked at the 3 of them faintly. 640, take a beast. Otherwise, you don't even have the qualifications to fight with me. Hyuga Chen said calmly, you actually know that we are Jinchuriki? Finfu said incredulously, it's so arrogant. Do you think that without the power of the tail beast, I am not your opponent? Laozi said angrily, so much nonsense. Speed is power. Have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Hyuga Chen flashed to the front of Laozi, his calf turned into a golden photon, and kicked out the kick at the speed of light. Bump. Laozi traversed a path on the ground, all obstacles were crushed by him, and 4 Tails Monkey King appeared directly. The lightspeed kick just now caused Laozi to be seriously injured and dying. If it weren't for 4 Tails to protect Laozi with chakra, Laozi would be kicked to death. The reason 4 Tails protects Laozi is not because of how good their relationship is, but because Jinchuriki is dead, and it will die along with it. Although the tail beast is composed of chakra and will not really die, even if it is dead, it will be resurrected after several years or more than 10 years, but no creature is willing to experience death, and 4 Tails is not sure. After the resurrection, it will still be the current 4 Tails. What if the memory disappears? Is it still it? So 4 Tails had to take action to save Laozi's life even for her own sake. Episode 97. Since 4 Tails have come out, how can we give you some respect? Tenseigan, summoning technique. A huge stone statue suddenly appeared, taller than the tail beast. After the stone statue appeared, he immediately raised his fist and smashed it towards the 4 Tails. This force was so heavy that it smashed 4 Tails out with one punch, and then the stone statue strode straight to 4 Tails, fighting with 4 Tails. Hyuga Chen used Susanoo again, and said lightly, don't look at you 2 beasts, or I will kill your Jinchuriki. Feeling the extreme sense of crisis, 5 Tails Kokuo took the initiative to reach a consensus with Han, and then entered the complete tail beastization. 1 Tail Shoha has a good relationship with Finfu, so under the initiative of Finfu, 1 Tail Shoha also came out. But Shoha is surprisingly not arrogant, his fat body is tight, and his eyes are dignified. Although Shoha has an arrogant personality and likes to pretend, he is not a fool, and he will not pretend to be forced. Looking at the joyful Shoha, Hyuga Chen wanted to laugh. At this time, Hyuga Chen felt that Shoha was the cutest among the tail beasts. Shoha, I heard from 9 Tails that the strength of the tail beast is divided by the tail. Is the 1 tail the weakest? Hyuga Chen asked with a smile. Shoha suddenly exploded. Fuck his mother's fox fart, this uncle is definitely not the weakest. Shoha roared furiously. Hyuga Chen smiled. In fact, he doesn't think Shohi is the weakest. 3 Tails, 6 Tails, and 7 Tails are the real dishes. Anyway, Hyuga Chen doesn't think that the 3-tailed beasts are opponents of Shoha. The strength of Shoha should be similar to that of Second Tail, or even stronger. However, among the 3-tailed beasts present, Shizuru is definitely the weakest, and the strongest should be Five Tails Kokuo. Leaving Susanoo, Hyuga Chen controls Susanoo to deal with Shoha, and then looks at Kokuo. Among the tail beasts, Kokuo's strength and melee ability should be the strongest, so Hyuga Chen wants to fight him hand-to-hand to test how strong his physical skills are. Human, what do you mean, look down on me? Five Tails Kokuo looked at Hyuga Chen's disdainful eyes, and was extremely angry. A beast, what if you look down on you? Look at your appearance, the horse is not a horse, just like a crossbreed, and I want to look down on it. Hyuga Chen said disdainfully. Among the tailed beasts, except for the look of the Shoha, Nine Tails, and Matatabi, which look normal, none of them resemble normal creatures. Death. Five Tails Kokuo was furious, carrying the power of boil style, spraying steam, and the giant horns on top of his head slammed into Hyuga Chen at a speed like lightning. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Good coming. Hyuga Chen smiled, without armament hockey blessing, and no outbreak of chakra. It was pure physical strength, punching and colliding with Five Tails. Bump, a violent crash sounded. Hyuga Chen flew upside down for nearly 100 meters before stopping, and Five Tails Kokuo was repelled 300 meters away. In general, Hyuga Chen was better. This is the first time I have been repelled. You are proud enough. Hyuga Chen shook his arm gently, and the powerful force made the air fluctuate. In Hyuga Chen's small body, what is contained is the power that can crush the mountain and break through the defense of the entire body of Susanoo. Five Tails Kokuo is quite shocked. Kokuo is confident that Nine Tails and Eight Tails are coming, and strength alone cannot beat it back. Even Four Tails, which is known for its strange power, is even more confident, but now he was repelled by a slender child who hadn't grown up yet, and Five Tails Kokuo began to doubt his strength. If it does not have the ability to use the boil style, it is understandable to be knocked into the air. Without the use of the boil style, its power may not be as powerful as the Four Tails Monkey King. However, under the blessing of boil style, the power of Five Tails has exploded, and now it has been lost to a human being. Five Tails has a sense of fear while not believing it. It looks like it's going to be a little real. Armament hockey harden. Hyuga Chen's whole body is covered by armament hockey. The whole person is extremely dark, shimmering with metallic luster. Feeling the surge of power, Hyuga Chen's heart burned, and using Marine 6 style shave, he appeared in front of Five Tails like a teleport. Get off for me. Sky Cannon. The whole body gathered vigorously on the fist and punched Five Tails on the chin. Hit Five Tails, which is like a hill, into the sky, and then fly into the sky in an instant. After that, Five Tails becomes a copy of Tsuchikage's assistant, Shirhung. However, the visual impact is much stronger than before. Looking at it from a distance, it is like an ant kicking an elephant to play. Anyway, Oyemu and the others in the distance were stunned, even the fighting stopped, and they looked at the sky in shock. Can the tail beast hold Hyuga Chen? Hanzo of the Salamander asked unconfidently. One Tail Shoha was beaten violently by Susanoo, Four Tail Sun Wukong was being beaten by a stone giant, and Five Tails was being kicked even more. This look is the rhythm of the calf, it is completely abused by Hyuga Chen. Anoki, you actually used the tail beast Jinchuriki, blatantly violating the treaty. Sarutobi Hiruzen snapped. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was also afraid of the fear, how strong the tail beast was. He knew clearly in his heart, a tail beast bomb would be a big death. Perhaps some tail beasts are not as powerful as the shadow level strong in singles, but on the battlefield, 10 shadow levels are not as lethal as one tail beast, and the war weapon is not a joke. Humph. Oyemu snorted coldly, without saying a word. If the current tail beast had the upper hand, he could still pretend to be a king and loser. The three-tailed beast in question was beaten and beaten, what else could he say? This son is definitely the scourge of Konoha. For the stability of the village, the instability factor Hyuga Chen must be eliminated. Danzo's eyes flickered and he said secretly in his heart, Hyuga Chen's performance was too strong. He beat the three-tailed beasts alone, and he was still beating violently, which made Danzo feel threatened. Danzo still wants to become Naruto. And now Hyuga Chen's demonstrated strength, as well as the huge credit on the battlefield, is definitely a competitor of Naruto. How can such a person stay? It's really an exaggeration. The hill-like tail beast is kicking and playing, it's a monster. I thought Tsunade was violent enough, but I didn't expect there to be even more violent, as expected to be Tsunade's apprentice. Jiraiya sighed. As expected to be Mr. Chen, it really is unfathomable. Maybe it's not his full strength now. Is this a real genius? Maybe it should be described as an evildoer. Orochimaru licked his lips. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were deep, and even his old friend Danzo couldn't tell what he was thinking. The appearance of the tail beast shocked the ordinary ninjas even more. Even if they had not seen it with their own eyes, they had also heard of the legend of the tail beast, the incarnation of disaster, and the pronoun of destruction. But today they didn't feel that the tail beast was terrible, but felt that the tail beast was a bit pitiful, being beaten up by a violent attack, and there was no resistance at all. Episode 98. Oh. It's still too far, kick at the speed of light. Hyuga Chen shook his head. Five Tails was not his opponent at all, and then kicked out at the speed of light and kicked on Five Tails. Five Tails fell to the ground instantly, smashing a huge basin on the ground, and then Five Tails unexpectedly returned to Jinchuriki's body. Can't help but fight so? Hyuga Chen said silently while looking at the Han lying in the huge basin. Next, Hyuga Chen was not welcome, and jumped to Five Tails Jinchuriki Han, and then extracted Five Tails chakra from him with a green sphere. After drawing more than half, Hyuga Chen let go of Five Tails, and then turned to look at the ugly monkey, Four Tails Sun Wukong. I have to say, for Tails, the monkey is really ugly, insulting the name Monkey King Monkey King. At this time, Four Tails was hung up and beaten by a stone statue. Even Nine Tails was not an opponent of the stone statue, let alone Four Tails. And if you want to defeat this stone statue, you must first defeat Hyuga Chen, otherwise, with the infinite regeneration ability of the stone statue, you will be sickened. Looking at the Four Tails being rubbed on the ground, Hyuga Chen jumped to the head of the stone statue, and then quickly extracted the chakra of Four Tails. Under Hyuga Chen's extraction, Four Tails quickly became smaller at a speed visible to the naked eye, and finally did not stop until Four Tails became skinny, which made Four Tails even uglier. Four Tails was also forced to return to Jinchuriki's body. Seeing that Four Tails had been useless by 047, Hyuga Chen released the summoning technique, and the huge stone statue disappeared. Then Hyuga Chen looked at the civet cat and Shoha. Shohi was beaten by Susanoo and screamed, miserably. Susanoo, damn it, you don't need Susanoo if you have the ability, my uncle will beat you to the sky. Shoha roared again and again. Although Shoha is a vegetable bag, he can't stand his arrogant nature. Even if he is beaten as a dog, he still does not forget to yell. Hyuga Chen didn't want to gossip with Shoha, so he directly extracted Shoha's chakra from a long distance to reduce weight for the fat civet cat. After the chakra of Shoha was drawn, Hyuga Chen came to the front of Five Tails Jinchuriki Han again, and then forcibly drawn Five Tails. Hyuga Chen feels that the fighting power of Five Tails is not bad, and wants to be used as a summoning beast. Among the 9 tails, apart from 9 tails and 8 tails, 5 tails is the strongest. 8 tails Hyuga Chen has never thought about it, not for anything else, just because it is so ugly. 9 tails was sealed on Uzumaki Tomoko. Even looking at Kushina's face, Hyuga Chen couldn't play 9 tails' idea, so 5 tails became the best choice. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Hyuga Chen doesn't care if Rock Shinobi Village jumps or not. Anyway, I like it, it's mine. Pull 5 tails out, and then forcibly conclude a contract with 5 tails, making 5 tails his summoning beast. As for the 5 tails Jinchuriki Han, after Hyuga Chen pulled away from 5 tails, he was already dead. He is not the kind of powerful person of the Uzumaki clan, and he can still breathe when he is pulled away from the tail beast. Let's go. I'm summoning you if something happens, don't get caught, I don't care about you. Hyuga Chen waved to 5 tails and let it go. 5 tails looked dumbfounded. He didn't expect that he was forced to sign a humiliating contract, and he was actually free. Is it a gain or a loss? 5 tails did not hesitate, and ran towards the distance without hesitation. For their tail beasts, freedom is the most important thing. Glancing at 1 tail Jinchuriki and 4 tails Jinchuriki, Hyuga Chen left without looking back. These two were no longer worthwhile, and Hyuga Chen didn't have the mind to care about them. Hyuga Chen, where's Jinchuriki in our village? When Hyuga Chen came back, Inoki and 3rd Kazakage were anxious. You're Jinchuriki, ask me what I am doing, find it myself. Hyuga Chen said lightly, damn it. Hyuga Chen's attitude made them very upset, and they quickly sent someone to look for Jinchuriki. They couldn't afford to lose the tail beast. What should I do now, retreat? Hanzo of the Salamander asked with an ugly face. No, he fought with the tail beast, I don't believe his chakra is unlimited. 3rd Kazakage's face was gloomy. Hanzo, you go to deal with Sarutobi Hiruzen's 3 apprentices. Chio Consultant, please block Sarutobi Hiruzen. Ebra Consultant, Hataki Sakuma will hand you over. Danzo will look at you. Rock Shinobi Village. No problem. Less, Terracotta, you 2 block Danzo. Don't seek victory, as long as you can hold it. Inoki commanded the Lus and Terracotta. Such a kid, the 2 of us joined forces to besiege Hyuga Chen. He must be killed today. 3rd Kazakage greeted him and led Sanchi-san Shinobi to surround Hyuga Chen. Inoki directly led 4,000 Rock Shinobi and rushed towards Hyuga Chen. Hyuga Chen is too strong. No one hopes that there will be another unbeatable Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. No one wants to live in the shadow of others and must kill him. You group of ants are really overwhelming. In Uchiha Madara's words, it depends on you also thinking of dancing. Hyuga Chen's mouth showed disdain. Now, he can't be piled to death by the number of people. At least a group of Genin and Chunin are not qualified to pile him to death. You want to die so much, I have no choice but to fulfill you who are kind. I am really kind. Hyuga Chen said with a sigh, in his right hand holding Ryujin Jaka and the left hand holding the Sky Cloud sword. Inoki and third Kazakage's mouth twitched. If you are kind, who will our dead ninja go to complain? Come and fight. Hyuga Chen held a pair of sword and slew the opponent's 7,000 ninja army. Although there is only one person, it is better than 1,000 troops. The ninjutsu released on the opposite side was all cut open by Hyuga Chen with a sword. Unleashing two sword auras at will, he cut off the leader Inoki and third Kazakage, and then rushed into the crowd. After Hyuga Chen entered the crowd, no one dared to release ninjutsu for fear of accidentally injuring his teammates. Hyuga Chen had no scruples. Two swords swung at the speed of light like a battlefield harvester, but in the blink of an eye, nearly 100 corpses fell under Hyuga Chen's feet. Devil! He is a demon, how could we have been able to fight? A genin fell to his knees in despair. Shut up, even when the enemy is strong and exhausted, for the sake of the village, I will kill the demon even if I fight to death. An elite jonin shouted. Then Hyuga Chen had his head beheaded. Your determination is admirable, but your strength is not good. Everything is empty talk. Don't you feel guilty for killing so many people at your young age? Oyemu asked angrily, clutching the sword mark on his chest. Ha 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 ha. Hyuga Chen laughed. Guilt? You are confused by me. If you say such a silly thing, will you feel guilty if you pull out the weeds on the side of the road? You are weeds to me, and there is no such thing as guilt. After a long silence, Inoki said silently, you are the most terrifying person I have ever seen, even more terrifying than Uchiha Madara. Episode 99. Oyemu looked at Hyuga Chen. From his azure blue eyes, which were as deep as the starry sky, Oyemu saw indifference, a disregard for life. Looking at their eyes is like looking at grass. Even Uchiha Madara, who looks down on the world and looks down on anyone, would not look at people like this. Oyemu's heart was chilling. What is more terrifying than looking down on you, is that the other party does not look at you at all. You are dispensable in the eyes of others' existence. You are too cruel. Third Kazakage said coldly while looking at the mutilated corpse at Hyuga Chen's feet. Don't think I am cruel. You are not much better than me. There is no right or wrong in war, and you are not qualified to blame me. The look of Inoki and the others at the executioner made Hyuga Chen a little unhappy. A group of people who start a war and want to make money through the war have any right to say that he is cruel, because there are few people who die. Now it is time to pretend to be upright and accuse him. If it was Senju Hashirama or Uzumaki Naruto who blamed him, Hyuga Chen might have swallowed this breath. But these two war criminals also had the face to say how he was doing, and they simply didn't want Billy in. It seemed that it was time to make the world feel painful, Hyuga Chen thought in his heart. In order to quell the war and make peace in the ninja world, I have made countless killings and carried countless sins on my own. I am really a good person. Sadly, no one can understand me, but he denounces me as a demon. Where there is light, there must be darkness. Let me be the darkness of the shinobi world and bear all the sins. Even if no one understands it, it doesn't matter. Sooner or later, I will let people in the ninja world know that Hyuga Chen is also a person with great love. Hyuga Chen was so touched that he was about to cry. I have to say that Hyuga Chen is shameless, and there is absolutely no lower limit. Fortunately, this is Hyuga Chen's psychological activity, and I didn't say it, otherwise Inoki and third Kazakage would definitely not help but give Hyuga Chen a big mouth. Could it be that you were so silly that the 2,000 ninjas who died in your hands would just forget it? People can hold hope because they can't see death. Feel the despair. Feel the pain. Only when you feel the pain can you know the value of peace. Hyuga Chen put away his double sword, floated in the air, opened his hands, and said faintly, accept your fate. Super Shinluo Tianjin. No. Hurry up and use defensive ninjutsu. Seeing Hyuga Chen floating in the air, pretending to be compelling, Oyemu knew that it was not good. This was definitely an attempt to magnify the move, but everything was too late. The powerful repulsion force repelled the clouds in the sky, and the earth dropped several meters under the majestic repulsion force. Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Because Hyuga Chen deliberately controlled the range, it did not affect the others, but Inoki and the others brought ninjas to encircle Hyuga Chen, and now no more than 10 have survived. The ground below Hyuga Chen is now dead, only Hyuga Chen floating down in the sky. It's clean now. Hyuga Chen said with a faint smile, Devil, the devil who destroys the world. Inoki spouted a mouthful of blood, then fainted. Third Kazakage, which has a sandiron defense, is better than Inoki, but it also suffered several fractures throughout his body and slightly twisted his body. Looking at the 7,000 ninjas destroyed in the blink of an eye, third Kazakage looked desperate. Hyuga Chen's release of Chao Shinluo Tianjin was so powerful that it naturally silenced the entire battlefield, all looking at the countless corpses with broken bones and distorted bodies. They didn't know how many breaths of air they had taken before they reluctantly recovered. This has transcended the realm of ninjas and has crossed into the realm of gods. Orochimaru said silently. Hanzo of the salamander looked ugly to death. These two guys called the tail beast with great excitement and pulled him into the water again. Now he was beaten into a stupid man again, and Hanzo was desperate. And now Hanzo is not in a good state. The current Tsunade is not the original Tsunade. The strongest thing in Hanzo of the salamander is poison, but this Tsunade, which is superb in medical skills, has little effect. As a result, Hanzo's strength was abolished by half, and Tsunade's strength was stronger than that of the original. Orochimaru and Jiraiya didn't make any moves, but just to assist, Hanzo was interrupted by an arm, and the summoning beast Sancho Fish was beaten back to the summoning world. Looking at this situation, Hanzo felt that he had to do something, otherwise his reputation as a demigod might not be preserved. Hanzo, but he cherishes his reputation very much. The three of you are good at strength. Among the younger generation, you are one of the best and most outstanding I have ever seen. I named you Konoha Sannin. Although the trajectory has changed, Hanzo still gave Orochimaru the title of Sannin. The reason why Hanzo gave them this title is to give himself a step down, raise the enemy, and then he was injured. If it weren't for the enchanting Hyuga Chen, Hanzo would want to say that Orochimaru are the strongest in the younger generation. Why do I need you to give the title? Tsunade flicked his fist uncomfortably, and then hit Hanzo's face. Hanzo's lofty, victorious posture made Tsunade very upset. He was obviously beaten into a dog. He even dared to pretend to be forceful and bored. Hanzo's face changed slightly, and he immediately used the body flicker technique to avoid Tsunade's attack, then shouted, "Take Tsuchikage and Foying, we retreat." The killing god Hyuga Chen is still standing there. Now that there is no hope of winning, retreat quickly, to preserve strength. Anyway, he didn't dare to face Hyuga Chen. This time and the last time, the number of ninjas who died in Hyuga Chen's hands has nearly 10,000 people, and 10,000 people have been killed. Uchiha Madara has this record? Hanzo cherishes his little fate so tightly. After Hanzo gave the order, Chiyo and Azura did not object, and quickly put away their puppets, and then Chiyo took the third Kazekage and retreated immediately. Hanzo and the others retreated, and Sarutobi Hiruzen would naturally not let go of such a good opportunity to chase down the Konoha shinobi madly. They chased Hanzo to their camp, and Sarutobi Hiruzen was unwilling to lead people back because of the strong defense of the camp. Hyuga Chen, why don't you go and chase the enemy? You won't be collaborating with the enemy. After returning to the camp, Danzo attacked Hyuga Chen. Stupid. Hyuga Chen didn't bother to talk nonsense with this stupid thing, and didn't know to find a better reason to attack. He just killed more than 7,000 enemy ninjas. Danzo actually said that he collided with the enemy. What about his IQ? Danzo was furious, but the people around him looked at the fool's expression and let him know that he was looking for the wrong reason. He was a little dizzy. Hyuga Chen, you insulted Naruto's assistant. What should you be guilty of? The previous charge was not guilty, and Danzo could only find another charge. Hyuga Chen noticed that Danzo, this stupid thing, was obviously on the bar with him. He didn't understand. Didn't Danzo see his own strength? This is why Hyuga Chen thinks Danzo is stupid. He knows that he is powerful, and he comes to trouble himself. This is not what a stupid is. Episode 100. Danzo, are you looking for something? Tsunade was already upset. Looking at Danzo's old face, Tsunade wanted to punch him. Tsunade, don't protect him just because he is your disciple. You are also responsible for this matter. Look at the disciple you teach, you have no respect. Danzo scolded coldly, snapped. With a crisp sound, everyone looked at Hyuga Chen dumbfounded. Hyuga Chen retracted his palm casually, then took out a piece of paper and wiped it, and said faintly, I really shouldn't hit your face because it dirty my hands. Danzo held his face and looked at Hyuga Chen in disbelief. He didn't expect that Hyuga Chen would slap him in the face openly in the crowd. Asshole, it's just asshole, attack Naruto's assistant, and grab him quickly. Danzo's face flushed, not only because of being beaten, but also because of anger. In front of everyone, he slapped him shamelessly. Although Danzo roared again and again, but apart from the few roots he brought, no one paid any attention to him. Those roots were under Hyuga Chen's Tenseigan, and they instantly became puppets controlled by Hyuga Chen. It would be good if Danzo was not caught. What a joke, when did I attack you? Humph. So many people have seen it, don't you still want to quibble? Danzo snorted, his face extremely cold. With a smile on Hyuga Chen's face, after scanning around, he asked faintly, who sees it? If you see it, you can stand up and talk to me. No one said anything, not to mention Konoha's reversal of the situation, and the enemies he fought were all dependent on Hyuga Chen. Hyuga Chen was already Konoha's hero. As far as Hyuga Chen's perverted strength is concerned, no one dared to offend him, as if he hadn't seen it. It was not them who were slapped in the face anyway. Enough. Now the enemy is only retreating and has not surrendered. The enemy is important. Sarutobi Hiruzen said in a deep voice. He said this, also to give Danzo a step down, otherwise Danzo would not be able to get off the stage. Don't make trouble for me in the future, otherwise, be careful, one day I will die on the street, and then there will be no one who dares to collect your body. Hyuga Chen threatened faintly. Listening to Hyuga Chen's naked, unconcealed threat, Danzo was angry. If it weren't for Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo would have to do it with Hyuga Chen. Hyuga Chen smiled disdainfully. No wonder Senju Tobarama chose Sarutobi Hiruzen as Hokage instead of Shimura Danzo, impulsive and unable to see the situation. Just like this bear, can he be Hokage? Read more at hauntnovel.xyz. Now Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't say anything, he just jumped out first. No wonder he can only be the king of Sarutobi Hiruzen. His IQ is flawed. Danzo's face was gloomy, his fists were clenched tightly, his teeth were clenched, and his face was slightly distorted, like an evil spirit. If it is facing other people, Danzo will not be so impulsive and brainless, but facing Hyuga Chen is different. His eyes, the torture he has suffered these days, are all given by Hyuga Chen. His hatred of Hyuga Chen is overwhelming, and he loses his mind when he sees Hyuga Chen Danzo. This is also why Danzo knows that Hyuga Chen's strong explosion has come to find trouble, and can't control his own reason. Let's stop here. Chen, you must be tired from this battle, go and rest. Sarutobi Hiruzen tugged Danzo tightly. Hyuga Chen is very dangerous. Anyway, Sarutobi Hiruzen can't see through, and dares to slap Danzo in front of everyone. Sarutobi Hiruzen can't guarantee that Hyuga Chen will not kill Danzo. Previously, Hyuga Chen had used illusion on Danzo, and there was a precedent, so Sarutobi Hiruzen could only pull Danzo, and at the same time watch Hyuga Chen slightly vigilantly to prevent Hyuga Chen from killing Danzo. Don't worry. A beaming clown, if I really wanted to kill him, he would be dead. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen's defense, Hyuga Chen said disdainfully, if he really wants to kill Danzo, a mere Sarutobi Hiruzen, can he stay defended? Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo both have gloomy faces and are ugly to death. This Hyuga Chen really doesn't give any face. Seeing the dignified atmosphere, Jiraiya said roundly, Chen, why don't you say anything, why can't you say something nice? He glanced at Jiraiya, and then said faintly, because I have the ability to not fear everything. Naturally there is no need to hide what I say. After speaking, Hyuga Chen and Tsunade left together. With Hyuga Chen's departure, the atmosphere eased a bit, at least not as rigid as before. Sarutobi, you just indulge Hyuga Chen like that? Danzo said in a deep voice. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head silently, ignored Danzo, turned and left. What can he do? The strength of Hyuga Chen lies there. Who is his opponent? Although Uchiha Madara was strong at the beginning, it was checked and balanced by first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Who will check and balance Hyuga Chen? Even if Sarutobi Hiruzen feels upset, he has to hold it in his heart. At least Hyuga Chen needs to be used now, and the rest will be discussed later. Danzo, I warn you, don't provoke Hyuga Chen for now. He doesn't even look at me as Naruto, let alone you as Naruto assistant. It was time for Sarutobi Hiruzen to leave, and he did not forget to warn Danzo so as not to do anything radical. I see. Danzo muffled Kaido, his left eye flashing with chill. He would never forget it. Danzo really hasn't suffered a big loss in his life, but in the hands of Hyuga Chen, he has suffered the biggest loss of his life, and he has lost one of his eyes. It can only be said that Danzo did not understand Hyuga Chen's kindness. Hyuga Chen dug out Danzo's eyes to get him to change to Sharingan earlier. Otherwise, even if Danzo wants to change to Sharingan in the future, he doesn't know how long it will take. Hyuga Chen is doing good deeds. It is a pity that the wolf-hearted Danzo can't see Hyuga Chen's kindness at all, and has been thinking about how to retaliate against Hyuga Chen. In the next few days, Konoha continued to attack, but Anoki and the others avoided fighting and set up a defense around them. Unless Hyuga Chen takes action, they will definitely not be able to attack. Hyuga Chen doesn't have 0.1 leisurely action now. Now Chakra, the tail beast of Sand Shinobi Village and Rock Shinobi Village, has gotten his hands. Hyuga Chen is not interested anymore. He is completely paddling on the battlefield. Sarutobi Hiruzen was not angry when he saw it, but was happy to see it. This war, almost relying on Hyuga Chen's own power, reversed Konoha's disadvantage of being beaten. So even though there are many Konoha shinobi who fear the power of Hyuga Chen, they worship Hyuga Chen more. There are even rumors below that Hyuga Chen is strong and wants to make Hyuga Chen become Naruto and deter other shinobu villages. Some people think that Hyuga Chen is too young to become Hokage now, and it will be about the same in a few years. But this has touched Sarutobi Hiruzen's nerves, so Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't want Hyuga Chen to do anything more. He paddling like this now is what Sarutobi Hiruzen would like to see.